Let's be clear, we are smack in the middle of a massive transformation. Artificial intelligence is fundamentally reshaping education, and we're not just talking about a few new, fancy tools. No, this is a complete reshuffle of how we teach, how we learn, and honestly, what we even think is important to know. So, let's dig in and see what this great reshuffle actually looks like.
To really get a sense of the stakes here, just look at this number. According to the World Economic Forum, a whopping 75% of companies are planning to adopt AI by 2027. That's practically tomorrow. This isn't some far-off sci-fi future. It is happening right now. And the training ground for this entirely new workforce is our schools.
Okay, so if our schools are the new training ground, what's actually happening inside the classroom? Generative AI isn't some futuristic robot teacher. It's quickly, and I mean quickly, becoming the new digital pencil, a basic, fundamental tool for learning.
Now, it's easy to assume every student with the phone is playing around with AI. But the real question is, how many are actually using it for their schoolwork? Let's take a look at what the data tells us. Well, it turns out this is not just kids messing around. Of the students who have actually used generative AI, a solid 61% are using it specifically for their school assignments. This thing has gone from a fringe activity to a mainstream study tool, and it happened fast.
And they're not just using it to, cheat on essays. They're using AI as a research assistant, a brainstorming partner, a personal tutor that can explain really complex topics, and even as a proofreader. Essentially, students are building their very own personalized support systems for learning. Of course, this immediately sets off alarm bells about cheating. The first reaction from a lot of schools was, understandably, a bit of panic. But the conversation is shifting really fast, moving away from this cat-and-mouse game of detection and toward a much bigger question. What are we even testing for in the first place?
And here's the hard truth. Those AI detectors, they just don't work. As educator Leon Furs puts it, they simply don't have the accuracy you'd need to make a serious judgment. Chasing after AI detection is really a dead end. It just erodes trust, and worse, it risks false accusations. So a much smarter approach is just to be upfront about it. This AI assessment scale, for example, gives teachers a really clear framework. It lets them define exactly what level of AI help is allowed on an assignment, from absolutely no AI all the way to full AI use where it's treated like a collaborator.
And get this, the results are pretty stunning. A pilot study of this very scale saw academic misconduct cases plummet, while the number of students passing the module jumped by over 33%. Turns out, when you give students clear rules and integrate the tool thoughtfully, they don't just stop cheating, they actually learn better.
Now, this whole revolution isn't just changing things for students. Teachers are also getting a powerful new partner in the classroom, and it's completely transforming what their job looks like.
Think of the new dynamic like this. AI becomes the ultimate teaching assistant. It handles all that time-consuming stuff, the lesson plans, the admin. This doesn't replace teachers, it liberates them. It frees them up to focus on the deeply human work that only they can do, mentorship, emotional support, and really building those critical thinking skills. And we're not talking about a few minutes here and there. The time savings are real and significant. Teachers are reporting spending hours less on things like planning lessons and writing reports. This isn't just about a better work-life balance. It's about redirecting all that saved time towards high-impact, face-to-face engagement with their students.
But to use a tool this powerful, teachers obviously need a new set of skills. UNESCO has laid out 4 key areas: a human-centered mindset, a really solid grasp of ethics, some foundational knowledge of how AI works, and finally, the teaching skill, the pedagogy, to bring it all together in the classroom.
So let's zoom out to the big picture. For AI to be a genuine force for good in education, we can't just let it run wild. We have to build thoughtful, system-wide guardrails to make sure it's being used safely and ethically.
The guiding philosophy here is something called ethics by design. And the idea is actually pretty simple. It means we don't wait for problems to pop up and then try to fix them. Instead, we build our values, things like fairness, privacy, and safety, right into the technology and the policies from day one.
And when it comes to education, there are some total non-negotiables. First, a human must always be in the loop. Second, student data has to be fiercely protected. Third, these tools must be equitable and accessible to everyone, not just a privileged few. And finally, we have to teach everybody, students and staff, how to navigate this new world. At the end of the day, this all comes down to trust.
Research shows that parents and students have a very clear demand: keep our personal data at the school level and keep it away from big tech companies. The social license for this technology to even exist in schools depends entirely on getting this right. So all of this, it leads us to a really profound, almost philosophical question. As we start weaving this powerful new form of intelligence into how we learn, what is the new social contract for education itself?
There are really two main ways people are thinking about this. One view sees AI as this fast-approaching superintelligence that's going to radically change everything overnight. The other, the normal technology view, says it's probably more like electricity or the internet, a powerful, game-changing technology for sure, but one whose effects will unfold more slowly, over decades, as we figure out how to fit it into our society.
But you know what? It almost doesn't matter which future unfolds, because the call to action is exactly the same. As UNESCO puts it, we have to deliberately and collectively reimagine our future. We can't afford to be passive observers here. We have to be the architects.
And that's the real prize. The ultimate goal isn't a world where machines replace humans, but a new social contract for education, one where human intelligence and machine intelligence collaborate to create something far, far greater than either one could achieve on its own.
And that leaves us with one final and really critical thought. AI won't replace us, but it will change us. The technology itself is just a tool. It's going to amplify our own intentions. So as AI reshapes our world, the most important question isn't what the machines will do, but who we will choose to become.